Chubby, what are we about to do? What are we talking about?
We're talking about love. I was really like, at first, I was just like, I just wanted to interview you.
Yeah,
Then I was just like, we should, but I feel like it's very like fitting. I thought about it yesterday because of Valentine's Day, and I was
yeah,
just like, but I also know that I don't know, you just bring up love a lot. Like even in
yeah,
your captions, and I was just like, this is a
yeah,
line.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Hello, my name is Chiara Cristina Ventura. I'm the founder of Artsy Window. Welcome to the AW Classroom podcast, where we interview artists and creatives and movers and shakers and magical beings of color. Today, we are here with Aya Brown, which is super fitting because Valentine's Day is around the corner, and Aya really, yes, hearts on hearts on hearts. And Aya really hones in on her love for Black women within her work. So, Aya, can you introduce yourself? What are your titles
Mhm.
and your practices?
My name is Aya Brown. I go by she, her, cute, that bitch, all of that. And yeah, I make drawings right now. I've been working on drawing, but I also make larger paintings like backdrops. But I've been more interested in drawing portraits and stuff of like Black women. I also put out things to sell that always are like fundraisers or just like a these proceeds are going to blank kind of thing, and it's always going to Black women or just like Black communities or stuff like that. So yeah.
Mhm. So, I love to talk to native New Yorkers because we have another like language that we
Nah,
speak. It's just
yeah,
like a whole different
yeah,
energy.
yeah.
But yeah, I want to hone in on that. Like, I know that you grew up in Brooklyn. How was that upbringing, and what do you love about your hood and
Mhm.
how you grew up?
Yeah, I mean, so it's not weird, but I was born in Fort Greene, um, in '95, and then I moved to when I was like 2 years old. I was living on Gates Avenue, between Marcus Garvey and Lewis, at my grandmother's house with my mom, my sister, and we were there for a little while, and then we moved to Park Slope in this like railroad like style apartment. It was basically like a shotgun house, but it was an apartment. And I grew up, and that was where my mom lived, but I spent a lot of my time at my grandmother's house. So yeah, like my weekends were like at church or just like at her house. And then as I got older, just like in that area, hanging out in that area. But then also because my mom lived in Park Slope, I would also hang out in Park Slope and stuff like that. And it was definitely like really like two different worlds. When I would hang out in Bed-Stuy, like there wouldn't be like it's just a bunch of Black people around now. No, but like there were just Black people around, and it was like fab, and like we were very comfortable in the street, like very comfortable around. But then in Park Slope, my group of Black friends, we were always like there's a bunch of white people who live there, and we were always looked at. We were always like cops were being called on us for just being at the park, and like the sun just went down. It's like 5 o'clock or some shit, and like, oh, we're being too loud, or like, shit that people do, and it like kids just do, like just hanging around, running around Park Slope, whatever. We would always be getting in trouble, or like somebody's fucking, I don't know, like white people were just like complaining about us being Black. So yeah, there was that weird like divide. But yeah, that's how I grew up. That's where I grew up.
Reaching in like my memory, so like I also
Yeah.
grew up with like my grandparents because like my mom was a single mom working whatever. We spent all the summers in grandma's
Grandma's
house.
house,
Was that
exactly.
it? Okay.
Summers, like winter break and shit, and just being girl, just being in the house. Because my grandmother is not the type to be like, all right, we're going to the park. It's given very much like in the summer, like we're outside, or we did a lot of like shopping. We did a lot, like we were downtown Brooklyn a lot. We were on Broadway. We were because she's not, I'm thinking about it now because she's older and she doesn't really do that as much. But when we were younger, I remember just like lugging around all from like 9 a.m., like just doing so much stuff. Like, yeah.
Yep, and walking in the city. Yo, I'll never forget. Okay, speaking of shopping. So my grandma, she lived in Washington Heights. It was mad hot one day. And we were walking up and down, shopping. It was mad hot. And I was like, Mama, my feet hurt. And then I was literally 5 years old and she bought me a stroller. And she was like getting the stroller.
God, so that y'all could continue.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, all right, I don't have time for this. Like, get the stroller. How much is that?
Yes.
All right.
Like the little 99-cent stroller that it looked like for a baby doll.
That's what I was about to say. It's probably for a fucking toy or some shit, like a play baby.
Oh
I'm crying.
My yeah.
would never. As soon as we were able to walk, she was like, yeah, absolutely not. Y'all are walking.
And helping me with the bags and everything.
And carrying the shit. And when we get down, y'all taking it out. And this and that. Like, but all of that like definitely helped define like how I am today. So I'm beyond grateful for my grandma.
Yeah. Shout out to my grandma.
And my mom's too.
And the mommy.
Yeah.
So in terms of drawing, when did you start drawing and you were just like, okay, I want to keep doing this?
Yeah. Well, a friend of mine, Alexis, we both went to Cooper and we were always like kikiing together because we both come from like the same places. She comes from the Bronx and I'm from Brooklyn, and we were like very, I don't want to say this, but like, I think obviously there are different types of like Black people and we come from a different place, and there wasn't anybody else like us that was at Cooper, you know. Like we didn't grow up with our parents like teaching us about art and like, you know what I mean? Like I went to museums and stuff because they were free, because they might have had a free program, and we lived in Park Slope, so maybe I'm spending some time at the Brooklyn Museum because my mom had to do some shit, or like, you know, like these kinds of things. But I guess for me, and this is what me and Alexis were talking about, it's just like we were just like the kind of kids who just like was in the crib alone and like drawing because that was accessible and it wasn't that expensive, and you know, like I don't know, that's just like where it started. And then I really liked it. I liked like drawing, wasting so much fucking paper. I remember my house growing up when I was really young was like filled with like me and my sister's like drawings. Like, yeah, we had like a big, one of our walls was just like covered with like drawings and stuff. When I would go to my grandmother's house, I would be sitting in the front of her bed drawing. She used to be so annoyed with me because that was like where you would have to walk like throughout her room, and she would just be like stepping on crayons and shit and be so annoyed with me. But I was always drawing, like always. That was like my favorite activity.
So were you like known as like the nice one in art class and stuff?
Yeah, like I remember in first grade, oh my God. In first grade, I started going to this new school, whatever. I went to this school in Carroll Gardens, and I remember I was drawing my big cousin, my oldest cousin, she definitely like, because she was in high school and shit like in the 90s. So like they were doing a lot of like bubble letters and like graffiti, like that was the thing. So she taught me and my sister how to do that. And I just remember being in first grade, like doing that. And also like she taught me a bunch of other few, like how to draw flowers and stuff like that. And I remember like a bunch of girls like watching me do these things. And then like I was teaching them how to do it. So, ew, that sounds like so gross, but like that was the vibe, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to get more into your series and how you mainly focus on drawing and painting Black women. But what I love throughout all of your series is just that you show like Black women in different forms. It's not just like, oh, like one type of image, like maybe like a super femme, like Black
Yeah.
woman or
Mhm.
something. Like you show like lesbian couples, you show Black women working, like the Essential
Yeah.
Worker series,
Mhm.
postal workers, nurses, just, but you know, in different energies being like multiple things at once. And I just love how the series are like just so expansive.
Mhm.
So can you tell us like when was that moment where you were just like, okay, I'm gonna focus on just showing Black women in these different lights?
So I guess I realized that like this is something I was first interested in 2018. Um, Not even 2018, maybe when I was still, yeah, when I was still at Cooper, but I just felt like this is not a place for me. Like this is not somewhere where I feel like my work, I'm not going to get the feedback from my peers because none of my peers look like me or come from the same place as me. So like for them to talk about my work is very like I can't even take that serious. Like I can't take what they're saying seriously because it's just like you don't even know what this is about. Like and then being there, I also had to become a teacher, which is like not why I went to art school. I could have went to the school to go be a teacher somewhere, but like I didn't go there to be a teacher. So I'm teaching everybody shit in crit before I can even get a crit. And that's extremely exhausting because most of the time they're not going to understand because they don't live or exist in the world or look like me. So I think then a lot of that was kind of like reflecting back at me too and like how I saw myself and how women or other, you know, women like me probably like or young girls who like or young Black people who come from the same place as me like couldn't maybe survive at Cooper like or it would just be really hard um and like that's where it kind of started where I was just thinking about like my Blackness, I guess. I don't know.
Mhm.
um and then I remember being in the studio like at a certain point I just stopped going to class and I just was like using my studio because they weren't going to kick me out yet. And so I was just like in there and I remember like I bought brown paper, like craft paper and a bunch of color pencils. And that's when I just started drawing. First, I kind of started with like these weird, like femme, these like, they were like fully self portraits of me, but like they were like very femme women but wearing like fitteds and stuff. This isn't like anything anybody's ever seen. They were just like sketchbook kind of things. And I would be making these images. I used to make like a lot of nameplate stuff and like playing with that and just like playing with like how color looked on this black paper, on this brown paper. But I think that I had always been kind of working with brown paper after that. And then I was started making like more like intimate like lesbian drawings, but then also like portraits, like full body portraits of lesbians that look like me or that I identify with or that some of my friends might identify with, where it's just like, you know, in between space of like very femme and then like hood nigga vibe or like, you know, Dipset, like that kind of like energy that I don't see anywhere. And like that, from that, I think I was like inspired to keep looking outside of like what everybody else is like seeing as Black, especially in the art world too. Like there are moments where there are artists who make work about the same type of people as me, but like I don't know if I've seen or like I don't know any like lesbian artists who are making work about the lesbians that I'm talking about. And that's no shade to anybody else. It's just like I would like to see myself. Um, but yeah, and then I was also thinking about this too. Like I grew up in a church, in a Baptist church, and my grandmother has always been a woman who she can be very shady for sure because she just gives that, but she's also like not judgmental at all. And I think that when being in the church, like there were different types of women always. She would be sitting like right in the front and like just coming to her. She wouldn't be standing up going to people, coming to her, checking in with her. There were women who were like, you know, used to be on drugs that my grandmother had supported and like is no longer on drugs anymore, women who were young girls who were adopted, who like, you know, just like so many different types of women that I've seen and I've watched my grandmother love and like look at with no judgment, that I think growing up I've seen a lot of other, like a lot of Black people or people, white people judging these types of people. And I think from that moment too, I've been like always like never scared or judgmental towards like Black women who like look or act or come from whatever type, you know. So I think that also kind of like is the foundation for me of like how I view Black women. This is who we are. We look and come from all different types of places, and we're raised in different places. And whether we come from like money or we don't, or we made money or we made a name for ourselves, or we're struggling or whatever, or just like, you know, we work. That's what we do, 9 to 5. Like, you know, there's all different types. Like I have, you know, some of my homegirls are scammers, like whatever the fuck. Like it's just different types of, there's so many different types of us. And I find that so like beautiful. And yeah, I just respect and have love for like all of us, no matter what, because I think we're amazing. But yeah, what was that?
Yes to all of that. Yes.
The first question, I feel like,
Yeah, no, that definitely answered the first question.
Mhm.
And then I was asking in terms of like, what is your goal throughout these series? Whether it's like an internal goal and also like an external goal of like, you know, you're putting all these images out into, you know, the public.
So I started reading the Cicely Tyson book yesterday, and something, I mean, she's so like popping, oh my god. But something that was like, I think Denzel Washington was like was quoted or some shit, and he was just like, how whatever we do in life, like we can't take that to the grave. Like that's not gonna come with us. Whatever accolades, whatever interviews, whatever like anything is not gonna come with us to the grave. So whatever we put out now, like throughout life, is that's what's gonna be here. Not, you know, like that we can't take that with us basically. So I think she knew exactly who she was from the start. Like she knew who she was, and when she first got casted for something, she knew exactly what she wanted to do because of the types of like questions she got from like white people asking her these like wild questions about like, oh my God, like Black children call their fathers daddy. Like this like whole like idea of like Black people like not doing things that like white people do, like ever. Like they have a whole, like they're never, you know. So it just makes that kind of, that really resonated with me because I'm just like, yeah, like there are so many people who know nothing about these women that I'm like thinking about. And sometimes there are like, I make images of like celebrities and stuff, but I think that's part of my own like joy too. But yeah, I think I just want to like put things so that like no one else can write it, like no other like white person or person who's not Black or lesbian or whatever can like, you know, talk about it. Like you said, like I guess it is like kind of like, you know, that like a young Black queer or lesbian kid, adult, whatever, like older person can look back and be like, you know, if they're older, like, yo, this fucking girl is like doing the work, like, damn, like we, you know, like I'm proud of her, or like we could never do this, or, you know, like thankful or hopeful that like these things are like going to be put out there and become, ew, I don't want to say this, I'm not going to say it, but like just become like important in life, you know, and like a reference. I just want to like create references for people to identify with.
I think it's also like, it's also that when you see yourself in a work, you know, especially if you do come from like an even more marginalized community, if you're a Black queer woman, you know, and you see yourself in a work, and especially, you know, these images, like what you said, like even for me, I don't see, you know, I don't know many Black, you know, lesbian women doing portraits like you are. You know what I mean? I don't see these images very often. So yes, I can imagine like a young Black queer woman looking at your work and being like, oh shit, like this exists, you know. And it's even more beautiful that you're doing it because you come from that community, you know, because some people are a little bit voyeuristic, and this is a whole nother conversation. And they paint and draw communities that they're not a part of, and it's just like, and then they get applauded for it, and it's just like,
it's like so
no.
unfair. But I mean, it's like I guess that like, but also in this, you know, in the same breath, like there might be women from this community that I think in my mind that like do not even like fuck with this shit. They're like, no, like, you know, like, and I do, and I'm prepared to accept that, and like, you know, but I do think that I am talking from myself, and that, like I said, my friends and like other lesbian women that I know do identify with it, and like that's all. Like that's the goal, that's the like end, that's the like happy place for me. That's just like how I want to like leave this earth, is that I've, you know, that like a young girl could like look at these, and like a young lesbian girl, she could look at these and be like, yeah, this is how I see myself, you know? Because I think about growing up too, like I think that's where like these like icons kind of come from, all these, you know, like I saw myself in all of these women because I couldn't find a Black lesbian one. They're just like so rare. And even if they were, they didn't come out. So like we didn't really know, but you kind of got that vibe. But anyways, but like just like, you know, same thing like my grandmother, like being raised around all these different types of women, just like what I had access to, like pulling different things. And I think that that's just a thing about, I think, African Americans in general, is that our history is like so, it's hard, you know, our culture is that like we don't know. So we're just like, not we don't know, but like we're pulling from so many different things to define ourselves. So I think as a Black African American lesbian woman, that's what I've done as a kid, as from jump, you know, picking and things.
Yeah, like when you were talking about being in art school, yeah, that's the thing. Like I've talked to so many artists who, you know, during the critiques, they just feel like a fucking attack, because especially if you're the only person of color in that class, and if your work is speaking about your culture, your identity, and then there's just like, what, white people are going to critique that, you know what I mean? And
like it's weird,
and you're supposed to listen to it. It's like, no.
Like how is this ever going to be helpful? And y'all are painting plants, like y'all are painting plants, and I'm drawing dikes. Like how is this? Like y'all are not prepared for this. Like y'all are not prepared for this.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I like advise to a lot of artists, is just like, yo, if you have access to the mediums that you want to use, if you want to learn how to do a video work, use that library, like use that studio space, use the tools that like art school is giving you.
Like I've been able to have access to certain things. Like I love printmaking. I fucking love printmaking. Oh my God, if I still had access to that shit, I would, my work would not that it wouldn't look like this, but there would be more different, like I would be doing more printmaking stuff. But obviously I can't have a fucking press in my house, and it's COVID. So and I haven't done it since Cooper. So, but I do love it. Like I love etching. I love like fucking with chemicals and like whatever. And like, that's something that I took, you know, that I learned at Cooper and like will always kind of have in me. So it was cool. And it was crazy because in the beginning of that semester, I like cursed out that teacher because she tried me. And then I guess maybe she just felt guilty. Maybe it was given white guilt, and she was just like, we nominate Aya. But I took that shit. Like,
take the resources.
And I went to that.
Okay, I have this question on my mind because I watch your Instagram stories, and I know that you have so much love for a beautiful woman called Mary. Oh my God! So wait, I just have to ask.
I wear her shirt today, but I just cannot even.
Okay. Can you take us back? When did you know that, you
I was
know, you just
obsessed
had
with
an
her.
intense love for this woman?
Well, just
And
like
yes.
my big cousin, my older cousin Ebony, like we were just talking about this the other day, but when iTunes came out, she used to like watch me and my sister, and she fully ran up my mother's card, and she just downloaded mad fucking music, and one of them was Mary J. Blige. And I liked her music because it was like house, not like house music, but music in the house, music on the radio. She also just like embodies exactly how I see myself and how I feel, especially when she came out. Obviously I was not born yet, but like, you know, like she was hip hop, but she was R&B, like first hip hop and R&B like artist that was like signed to this like hard, like Biggie Smalls, like all these people are like a part of this like group, and she is like this woman, but she's wearing a fitted and she's singing about like love and like all this shit or pain or whatever. And then as I grew older, I think, you know, yeah, as I got older, I really could identify with more stuff. And then I was just like, nah, like, then I got really obsessed with her and I started like watching all these documentaries and like all this shit on YouTube about her. And I was just like, yo, like Mary really comes from a place where I have experienced. Like Mary, yeah, she came from this place. She was addicted to drugs. She came out of that, drugs and alcohol. She came out of that. She, you know, was dating this guy, and like, you know, these people were like, all these people around her were like super toxic and like not supporting her and all this shit. And then all of a sudden she just like was like, yo, fuck this. And like since then, especially I love Mary now because she is just so like glowed up. Like I feel like her like evolution is like so insane. Like she looks so fucking good right now, and she's 50 years old, bro. She looks mad good. Like when I'm 50, I just want to give that. Like her birthday party she just had, I don't know where they was at, but they was on some fucking island, and she was just, there's this like shot from her birthday. Like there was like this, I guess she was like her birthday, I don't know, but it was like an aerial, a bird's eye view, whatever. And she was on this like beach chair in full like bikini, her like blonde lace, her, you know, she doesn't shave, and then like the water, the waves go, and then it like zooms out, and it's just her on this beach chair. Nobody else is on the fucking beach, and it's just her. And I'm just like, see, this is exactly how I feel. And yeah, her music, it's the music for me, like lyrics, everything, her relationship to God, and you know, like all these different things that I really like identify with. And I honestly believe that Mary is a lesbian icon. Like, especially how she came out. She came out as like this tomboy, and like, again, pulling from different people. That's something I identify with. But also very femme and very soft and very sensitive, and, you know, talked about shit that like I needed to hear. But yeah, I love her so much. And I feel like one day she's going to watch this video. And when you do, Mary, just know that I love you and that you're probably going to think I'm crazy because I'm so obsessed with you. Because when I do meet you, you probably can't even be my friend because like I'm obsessed with you. So it can't even be genuine. It's probably going to be.
It's going to be like some fangirl energy. Like,
yeah,
oh
and like
my
I don't want to do
God.
that. Like I just want to like be cool with her. Like I just want to vibe with her so bad.
I think Mary needs to have one of your pieces in
I
her
mean,
collection.
honestly,
Like,
no shade. Like she could have it. Like if she hit me up and asked for that fucking drawing that I made for her, no problem. I don't want your money. Take it. It's yours. Come collect your shit. Mary, come collect your fucking drawing because it's here in my house.
we need the assistant, Mary's assistant manager. Come on.
It's crazy because when I posted that drawing, her sister, because everybody held me down and just like kept tagging her. So her sister found it, and her sister was like, I'll show it to her, but nothing ever happened. So it's whatever.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
It will, and I just gotta let the cards play itself.
Exactly. It's gonna watch. Like sometimes we really want something to happen, like right now, this moment, and then it'll happen like 2-3 years later, and then you're gonna be in a room with Mary, like having drinks. You're gonna be like, "Oh shit, thank you, universe, because this is way better than what I was asking for in the past." You know what I mean?
I really do think that. Yeah, I think. Yep, it's gonna happen.
See, we talking about it. It's manifesting.
It is. I feel it. Like this pot is getting hot. Like this shit is gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen. I've been telling myself this. So, and all of my friends support this. They're like, yes, you are. Like, there's no way in hell that you're not gonna be this fucking woman.
Yep. So, speaking about your intentions, and you spoke about this earlier when you introduced yourself. What I also love is that you move in such like a genuine way. Like you're always like you'll accomplish something, right? But you're not gonna be like, oh yeah, this was all me, blah blah blah, right? You'll be like, you'll accomplish something or you'll get an opportunity and you'll be like, all right, some of these funds are going to a charity, or you'll align it with like a charity, or you will support a community while you put out something. Like you did a collab with like Off-White. That money went to charity. I just want to ask you, like, how do you do these deals? How do you make sure you move in a certain way that aligns with your values?
I never get asked this question in like an interview, but like all of my friends who are also artists or just like doing things and getting opportunities like this, I have these conversations all the time. But like, I think the main thing is like, I am never doing it for like mind you, before last year, nobody was fucking paying attention to me. So like, this is not that long ago, and I am and try to be very grounded. I am in therapy. Like, this is something that me and my therapist talk about all the time. Is like, do not like close yourself to opportunities, but like when you open, get closer to your fucking people, get closer to the people who have supported you. So like, whenever I take an opportunity, there has to be something that like supports me getting closer to my community. So like, there's that's always in the back of my mind, but it's also just like, I'm not even here for the fucking like interview and like whatever. Like I do it because I think, one, like that it's important with certain publications and shit like that, or something like this. Like, it's like you said, it's not like a bunch of people following this shit, but it's like, I want to have a conversation with you. And like, we're going to talk about shit, we're going to kiki, whatever. And like, it's just important for me to like make work and then put it out there and make sure that it becomes accessible in some way to the people that I want to like experience it or whatever. And I think that like, I don't know. That's just what is given. Like, I don't really care for like that, like the accolades too much. And maybe that's like, I don't know if that's an issue. I have no idea. But like, I'm on a mission. You know what I mean? Like, and like getting these like accolades and these press and stuff like that isn't going to, like, it's in my mind or in the studio, like, that's not what I'm thinking about. Like, oh, I gotta make this. And then when I'm done, I gotta like fucking hit up so-and-so so that they can help me promote it. And like, I don't give a fuck. Like, whoever sees this shit sees it. And if it moves naturally, then it moves, And like, I didn't make the essential work. I made that shit because I was in my crib and it was fucking COVID. And I finally got to like be in a studio and draw something. And like, I was reflecting on that. And then the fucking people wanted to see it and they wanted more. And I wasn't going to stop doing it because it was coming from a very genuine place. Like, I was never doing it. You know what I mean?
It was coming from a place of love. That's what
it was. Boom. Plug it in.
Serious.
Yeah, it was, everything is coming from a place of love for sure. I think if I don't have some sort of appreciation for something that I'm making, I won't do it. And I'm really proud of myself for getting to that point too, where like, people have asked me to do commissions or just like, for example, like, it's always some cis Black man like, yo, doing this album cover, I really fuck with your work. Like, I really want to do this thing with like 2 girls on it, and like, yo, I really just fuck with it, and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, I don't even respond. Like, I'm not even gonna have this conversation with you because, again, I am not a teacher. I did not go to school for that. So I'm not gonna have this fucking conversation with you, but I'm gonna continue to make the work so you get the fucking point. And I think, honestly, before the year ended, people stopped asking me to draw men. because it's literally not going to happen. I have no care to make any images of men.
Well, I like to ask everyone this.
Mm-hmm.
What is some advice that you would give to young artists right now?
Young artists.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything that I've been saying, like, I don't know. Don't do it because you're trying to become this, not trying to become this. Don't make work because you think people are going to enjoy it or going to want to buy it or whatever. Because I think, for me at least, in my experience, that takes away from who you are as like a person. Like, before pen to paper, before any of that shit, like, taking this thing that you have that you're incredible at and that you love to do, and then shifting it into like what pleases people, you're gonna get very lost and you're gonna lose sight of who you are. And like that, I feel like is not healthy, and just like can become scary as fuck. Because then when you finally look back, you'll look back and you'll literally be so far away from everything. And yeah, that's my biggest advice. And also, like, don't give a fuck. Do whatever the fuck you want to do, you know? Like, figure out ways to make sure that, like, you are always having fun. You know, that you're always, you know, if you're feeling like if you're in fucking college or if you're in art school and you feel like nobody looks like you and you're not able to get the critiques that you want, talk to your friends. Even if they're not fucking artists, just talk to your friends. Like, when I left Cooper, I was just talking to my friends. Not all of them were artists, like going to school to be artists or anything like that. But yeah, maybe they was creative in some way and I trust their opinion. You know what I mean? Because they come from the same walks of life that I do. So I think that if you want certain feedback, make sure that you are going to the people who support you, basically, because I feel like they're going to want the best for you always, whether or not, they don't need to like know how to give a critique. Like, I'll show some shit to my grandmother and she'll say, she'll give me some feedback. And like, that's what I care about. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that my grandmother has access to my work and like identifies with it, because that's who raised me. Yeah. And it's the reason why I'm doing this shit,
Exactly.
So boom, question number 1. Question number 2.
Last question. So you just released a tea, Black Sisterhood.
Yeah.
Is it out right now?
It's out.
Okay.
Get it. Part of the proceeds are going to go to the Loveland Foundation. And they have like a therapy fund, which gives access to Black women who can't necessarily afford therapy. I'm big on therapy. I fucking love therapy. It's changed my life. I've only been with my therapist for like 6 years or some shit, a long ass time. But yeah, she's also Black and amazing. So I want every fucking Black woman to have this because it's important. So I do donate a lot to like Black women and like mental health and stuff like that. But yeah, this t-shirt is out. It's basically the shirt that I made because I realized that, like, during the Puerto Rican Day Parade, the Labor Day Parade, like all this shit, they're like these little keychains or like these like characters of people from this like place, and I've never seen like a Black one. I guess not that like some of them, like of course like the Jamaican and like whatever, like these are Black people, but I've never seen one that's like the Pan-African flag or like the African-American flag and stuff like that. So I just wanted to make something that could work and could like become, just that image itself is like super important to me. But it was also inspired by my close friend. Her mom had this shirt and we were like looking at it one day. She like let me wear it and like we were looking at it and I was just like, yo, like, we gotta make this shirt. Like, we gotta recreate this. So shout outs to her for holding it down and like bringing that image into my life. So, but yeah, and then from there, it kind of just like jumped off. But yeah.
Nice. And any other future projects people should be looking out for?
There's more stuff happening. I'm the kind of person that does not like to talk about the shit that I'm doing because I think it's gonna jinx it. And I think that if I haven't made it yet, I shouldn't talk about it too much because it's not finalized. But yeah, just like look, be on the lookout. Things are happening this year. Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. But yeah, I hope everybody has a good Valentine's Day. And if you don't have a partner, you can volunteer somewhere and give back to your community and show love that way too. So
all the different forms of love.
yeah, look into it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be with my boo, so now let me stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yo, this is like, see, I don't know. Through this whole pandemic, I've been like talking more and more to people and like having dope ass conversations, and I can't wait till like all of this is over, and then I'll see you and I'll be like, wow.
It's gonna be wild. I feel like I'm gonna have so much anxiety because I'm like, people think that I'm very extroverted. I come off very extroverted and I can be.
Yeah.
But I'm also so fucking introverted. Like there are times where I could just like be quiet. But most of the time people meet me and they're like, oh my God, Aya is fucking crazy. She has so much fucking energy. She's like, then after all that energy like comes out, I am like zip quiet. And people are like, yo, what the fuck is wrong? Yeah, but I'm excited to meet you. I'm excited to meet a lot of the people that I've been working with that have inspired me, and like I'm sure, the same with you.
Yes.
We've been doing so much work with people that we've never met. It's really weird,
but I think the internet and the universe, like they're working together, be like, okay, you didn't have time to like meet or have a conversation with so and so, so here you go. You know what I mean? Like it's like making space for like very important like dialogues and projects and like collaborations to happen. So all right, well, thank you so much.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, y'all.